they're me, I'm thinking, why are you back on me? Do not reject your servant in anger. You've always been my helper. Don't leave me now. Don't abandon me, O God of my salvation. Even if my father and mother abandon me, the Lord will hold me close. Teach me how to live, O Lord. Lead me along the right path, for my enemies are waiting for me. Don't let me fall into their hands, for they accuse me of things I've never done. With every breath they threaten me with violence. Yet I am confident I will see the Lord's goodness while I am here in the land of the living. Wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. I'd like to ask you tonight, how good are you at waiting? I'm just wondering if when I was so beautifully introduced there, it took 10 minutes to get here, just from there to there. How many of you would have thought that's all right and wouldn't have batted an eyelid? Maybe if it was on crutches or needed the help of a wheelchair, you would have thought, well, that's okay. But you can see I'm perfectly fit and well. I wonder if you would have been slightly annoyed if it took 10 minutes. What if, now that I'm here, I'm thinking, oh, I'm just a bit busted. Do you mind if I just go the loo first before I get into this? Is that all right? I wonder if that would be okay. Maybe some, because you're a friendly bunch here, would go, you know what, I understand what bladders can be like at times. It's all right, off you go, Bren, go the loo, we'll hang on for you, and you'll let me come back. But I wonder, what if I said, do you know what, I'm boiling hot. I've totally put the wrong top on. Do you mind if I just go home and get changed and then come back and then get into this? Is that all right? I wonder if any of yous will still be here by the time I got back. Because if you're anything like me, you may find waiting and being patient a little bit tough. What a psalm that we have just read there. I love this psalm. It so speaks of God's amazingness, his goodness. He's here for us. He just loves us to bits. He's on our side. He's got everything covered. And right at the end, we hear the words, wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. That sentence, wait patiently for the Lord, sounds a little bit of an oxymoron to me. And those who don't know what an oxymoron is, it's one of those when you have two words in a sentence that shouldn't be in the same sentence together, because it just kind of seems like it's contradicting each other. Because for me, when I think of waiting, the last thing I think of is patience. So when I'm hearing wait patiently, what's going on? That just doesn't seem to make really good sense for me. Because if you're anything like me, there are loads of times in your day, in your life, when you are called to wait. So, for example, I do drive, and so I find myself quite often sitting in the car, traffic lights. I know they're telling me to stop. I know they're telling me to wait. But I'm often like this. Oh, come on. Change. Oh, for goodness sake, how many traffic lights are there from here to there? Really? Does every single one have to be on red? Waiting and patience, they just don't seem to go together very well for me. Supermarket queues, how many of you stand there with your trolley and do this? Just checking out which one's going down quicker. Because you hate waiting, and you don't want to be in a queue that's going slower than that one, because you're thinking, well, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? Why wait longer than you have to? So you kind of do a little bit of a trolley dash. Do you know what? And then you'll run to the next one, or you'll run through, and oh no, now the woman's to the front. She's forgotten the pace. Oh, this is horrendous. They're having to call someone now, waiting for ages longer. It's terrible, isn't it? And if you've ever been in a shop and you found the shop assistant talking to the mate, or just being nice and polite and friendly, doing a bit of customer service, all of a sudden I'm a patient waiting. Excuse me, I want to shout. Do you not realise that the whole purpose of your very being is to stop everything and serve me? I'm here now, wanted to be served. Waiting, patience, they don't often go together very well for me. And we buy fast food, don't we, loads? Well, maybe some more than others, I don't know. But The whole point that it's called fast food is that it appears very quickly. We go in the chippy, we order fish and chips. It's there quite quickly, isn't it? But you know if they have to put a fish in. They've not got a fish waiting. Why didn't they know I was coming? Waiting patiently is not two words that go well together for me. But God says, wait patiently. And he says this quite often in his word. He calls us to wait on him. To wait patiently. And in the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 31, it even tells us a good reason why we should wait, because it says that they that wait on the Lord will grow in new strength. They'll mount with wings like eagles. They'll run and not get tired, and they'll walk and not become weary. Great reason to wait patiently. But I find that waiting patiently can be really tough. I even run out of patience with people. You know, I can be so kind and helpful and thoughtful. I can see your needs and I think, yeah, okay, I'll spend a bit of time with you, but you know what? I've got my limits. And sometimes I just think, won't you ever learn? Really? You need me to tell you this again? It's awful. Or if I go on a walk or a cycle, I want everyone to be keeping up with me. Do you know what I mean? I want everyone to go at my pace to make it more enjoyable for me. I don't want to be stopping and waiting, saying, hurry up. It's a nightmare. And people who leave me waiting, you know when they said I'll be there and they don't turn up? Oh my goodness. Waiting patiently? Those two words just do not connect then very well for me. It becomes a nightmare. But God's word says, wait patiently. And I can even run out of patience with myself. I don't even like waiting for me half of the time. I'm like, Brenda, I told you to do that like 3 weeks ago. Why haven't you still done it? For goodness sake, woman, what's the matter with you? I hate waiting for myself as well. When will you ever learn? I ask myself. Not again. Seriously, Bryn? Waiting patiently. It doesn't always gel. And waiting is what God asks us to do quite a lot. He encourages us to wait on him. Wait on the Lord. And as you can tell, me and waiting patiently, it doesn't go well together. And sometimes, you know, I find it so hard to wait on God. But it is something that he asks us to do. And you know what? If God asks us to do it, it means that it's something that we should do. Because God doesn't ever ask us to do anything that's bad for us or unnecessary. He only ever asks us to do that stuff that's good for us, that will do us good, that is necessary, that's part of our life and our very being. But I find it hard, because I don't always understand God's timing. In fact, sometimes I have been known to say to God, I think you got it wrong. Who do I think I am? Cheek of it. But sometimes I do, because I just don't get what's happening. Why are you waiting so long, God? Seriously? Is it really this necessary? I question his timing. But the Bible, his word, tells me to wait on God. And as I look through my Bible, you know, I see that it's packed full of people who get where I'm coming from, and I'm quite pleased about that. And I look at their lives and I think, wow, what's that about? Why did you have to go through that? Take Moses, for example. You know, he grows up in a palace as a prince, messes up, runs away. He's in a desert 40 years before God turns up to speak to him. 40 years. What's the need? Like, seriously, why couldn't he just speak to him the next day when he got there? Because what did God tell Moses to do? But to go back and free his people who were being slaves in Egypt. So not only was that, why Why are you not speaking to Moses and letting him know what the next thing is? Why have you waited 40 years? I'm also going, why have you left all of them out there for another 40 years, God, in slavery? Surely they've had enough. They've been crying out to him every single day for 40 years. What's with the waiting on you, God? I'm just not getting it. Joseph, 10 years God left him in prison. 10 years rotting in prison. And it was a bit of like he was rotting in prison because, okay, prison's not the bestest place to go today, but you know what? It's sheer luxury compared to what poor old Joseph was in. 10 years God left him in there before he said, okay, it's freedom time. 10 years. Abraham, 100 years God made him wait for a child. 100 years. What's that about, God? I just don't get why we've got to wait on you. And how on earth are we meant to be patient with that? Come on, this is tough. David, he got anointed as a king. 15 years he then spent practically on the run. Running away from his own father-in-law even. Before he was finally made king. 15 years. Lazarus. Do you know, God could have healed him while he was sick. Jesus could have got there. But he waited till he died. Before he then rose up from the dead. Why? What is this waiting patiently? I can so identify with these other people in the Bible, and the stuff that they had to go through. Because there are times in my own life, where I have prayed for healing, either for myself or for countless other people, and the immediate healing has not been there. And God says, wait patiently for me. Be brave and courageous and wait patiently for me. There's times when I have prayed to God for provision and it doesn't come how I'm asking. And it seems to me that God is leaving us a little bit short, or he's put, we talk about God going to the 11th hour, don't we? Why are you waiting that long, God? Come on, why are you causing me to sit here and wait like this? What is going on? But he says, wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. I prayed for many friends and family members to become Christians. Thank God that some of them have, but do you know what? They didn't come, I didn't just pray once one day and that was it. And some, I'm still praying for, I've seen no breakthrough in some of my friends' lives at all. They're just as anti-God as, to me, they seem just as anti-God as they ever were. And God says, Ben, wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. Yeah, wait patiently for me. One of the things that I've shared here before is the fact that, from a very young age, I would have loved to have got married, and that's just something that I haven't had the privilege, or not so, as some may say, up until this moment in time in my life. Right now, I'd love to be able to say, oh yes, I've just celebrated my 25th wedding anniversary, but I can't. I've prayed for a husband for all of my life, since I was a teenager. I have prayed for a husband. Yet God says to me, even today, wait, friend. Wait patiently for me. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. I work as a pastor who works with those in recovery, so I meet and I have the privilege of sharing in a lot of people's recovery journeys, and I've lost count how many times I have prayed for God to set people free from their addictions that are trapping them and killing them, literally. And yet, I find myself continuing to just walk with him because no freedom yet has come. Why not, God? And God says to me, wait patiently, friend, for me. Be strong, be brave, be courageous, and wait patiently. The Middle East, what's going on out there? There's Christians all over this world praying for them. It's horrendous what's happened. Another person being beheaded again. Seriously? Why aren't you rushing in there? Because my timing, if I was God, that would have all been stopped by now. Do you know what I mean? But God says, wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. You know, sometimes in my life, I have found that I am just left there shouting, come on, God, where are you? And in these times when things don't fit into my timing, into how I would like things to be, I can find that if I'm not careful, I can be filled with doubt. I can start to doubt that God can even heal anybody, even though I could tell you stories of the times that he has. I could even say, I can even have times when I feel like that God isn't listening. Sometimes I feel that all our prayers are useless. If I'm not careful, when things aren't fitting into how I want things to be, I can end up feeling like this. Or I think that maybe God just can't do these things that I'm asking him to do. That he isn't the God of the miraculous that I once believed he was. I can start thinking like this. It's even possible at times when things aren't fitting in how you would like them to be in your life to think, is he real? Is he really there? And I'm left there shouting, come on, God. Wait patiently. I can throw my hands up in total disbelief. Will you stop asking me, God, to wait? I'm sick of it, I can be found saying. I have been found saying to God. I don't want to hear it anymore. Wait on you. Come on. And in one of these little wonderful chats that me and God were having around this topic one day, one of my most impatient waiting times that I was struggling with this whole waiting patiently for God. God said to me, do you think you could stop asking me why I'm asking you to wait? And instead, do you think, Bren, that you could start asking me to help you wait well? God was asking me to say, I'm struggling with this waiting patiently for you, God, because I don't get it. So will you teach me how to do it? Because you have said, wait patiently for you. So it must be something I need to do. And I struggle with this. There are certain aspects of my life and times in my day when I struggle. So God, will you help me to patiently wait for you? Further down in that psalm, I clock that then. It says, teach me how to live, O Lord. And I go, okay, God, see what you're doing now. You actually want you to ask you this, don't you? Rather than just keep telling you my point of view all the time. Rather than just keep letting you know how I feel about stuff or how it looks from my point of view. You're actually wanting to teach me here. Wow. The God of the universe is wanting to teach us how to do something amazing, something that we struggle with. He's wanting to teach us to wait patiently for him. And so over the last few years especially, this has genuinely been my prayer. Every time I catch myself in one of them, just about to go into one of them rants, I go, whoa, teach me, Lord, how to wait well here. Because I'm finding it difficult today. Teach me how to wait well. Yes, I still ask God for the miraculous. Yes, I'm still asking God for the instant. Yes, I'm still asking God for his power and life-transforming things to be seen and heard anywhere and everywhere. Yes, of course I am. But in the stuff that he's choosing for whatever reason to take his time, I'm saying, teach me, Lord. Show me how to live well, waiting on you. And this is actually panned out in the short term as well as the big stuff. Because at first I was only praying for the stuff that I'm still going on, like a husband, because I was still crying out to God for that. And I just wanted the answer to be, end my singleness, we won't have a problem, won't have to have this conversation again, God, do you not see it's a better way forward? Rather than doing that, I've gone, will you teach me how to wait well? Will you teach me how to be single well? Show me how to do that, God, because I don't know. And he is. If I'm thinking of, and now I'm going to be needing a new job. Okay, God, I'm waiting on a job. I'm sending the application forms in. Help me wait well. Because I just want to know instantly, what's the job you want me to do next? Tell me what it is, let me go for it. Just let me fill one application form in. Don't want to fill in shed loads, just one, that's enough. That's all my little instant answers, you know? Instead, I'm saying, God, teach me how to wait on you well. And even in the little things, though, like when I'm sat at the traffic lights, and I find myself, I say, hey, God, will you teach me how to wait well? Because you are here. And you don't want your kid all stressed out. You don't want your kid thinking nasty thoughts about other drivers on the roads. You want your kid to be like you. So will you help me wait well? Teach me, Lord, how to wait well. To not fight against it, but just to accept that this is something that you want us to do because you ask us to do it. And if you're asking us to do it, you don't just want us to do it, but you want us to do it well. And thank you, God, that you promise that you'll help us. That you'll help us achieve what it is you're asking us to do. And I can honestly say that it's a remarkable difference, I find. And this is the difference. What happens is that I stop focusing on the problem and I start focusing on God. And that makes a humongous difference to me because I see God as who he is all through it. When I focus on the problem, that's when the doubts come. That's when the fear comes. That's when the insecurities pile up. That's when I think my God no longer exists, that he doesn't listen to me or he listens to everybody else but me. When I focus on the problems, that's what happens. But when I focus on, will you teach me how to wait well? I see God in all his beauty, in all his splendour, and I don't lose sight of that. So therefore, like the psalmist, I'm able to say, the Lord is my light and my salvation, so why should I be afraid? Okay, this is tough. This is hard for me right now. But I've got no reason to be scared because God is my light and my salvation. Because I'm keeping my focus on him. The Lord's my fortress, protecting me from danger. So why should I tremble? When I just focus on the problem, boy, do I get scared sometimes. Boy, do I tremble. It hurts. But when I keep focusing on our great God and saying, teach me how to do this waiting thing well, life does and has improved dramatically. And that is why I literally wait on God in the little things as well as the big things. And to explain a little bit more about this, I recently was in 2 traffic jams. In the last couple of weeks, I've been in 2 major traffic jams. And I haven't been in them for a while. So I was obviously noticing how I was reacting. And the first one was, I was on the way on a lovely trip to take my mum, a wonderful mum, to the Lowry Theatre to see Warhorse. Great trip out. I'd never been in the Lowry before. My mum, as you know, those of you who know her, she can't walk very far, and I was very anxious about needing to get there in plenty of time so that we could kind of see the lay of the land. I could make sure she got in there near to us, I had time to park the car and then come back and get her up to a seat, and all of that's going through my mind. We left dead early, and my goodness, the M62 all the way was just chocker. It was a nightmare that day. And that was one of the most stressful journeys that I've had in a long, long time. Because all I was focused on was, I need to get there because I need to find out because of my mum, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to get there. And what if that happens, and what am I going to do? Well, these cars just flip and move out of the way because this is stupid now. What on earth is wrong? This was all going through my head as I'm going up the M62. Another traffic jam I'm in. I'm on the way to work. I've left late, and there's been a horrendous accident across Queen's Drive, and the traffic had just come to a standstill. Ambulance, police had to either clear it all before anyone could move, so we were stuck, and I had a meeting. Someone was now in the office waiting for me, and I chose at that time to say, hey God, help me to wait well. So I sent the person a text to say that I'm stuck in traffic. Then when it lasted a bit longer, I rang them up on loudspeaker and said, explain what was happening. Are you okay? We sorted all of that out. And I just said, I'm just going to trust you with this, God. It's okay. I'm going to forgive myself for being a bit late. And then what I found was that I just started praying for this accident and this people, because my focus just turned off me, because I just thought, God's got that sorted. I just felt a peace come over me. And I thought, the office, my work, my life, my job is in God's hands. It's okay. I thought, who's happened? Because it looked like it was a fatality. It was a horrendous crash. And I just started praying. And I get to work, and I'm not stressed. I'm full of God's peace. I'm praying for my neighbourhood. But the other journey, I arrived at the Lowry. Thankful because we still did get there on time. But just had a completely stressful, self-absorbed journey. Moaning at God because he could have made it a little less stressful for me. Because I was just focusing on the problem, not on who our great God was. Just in those two little things. But there are some bigger things in our lives, and we've got a choice of what we focus on. Whether we're concerned with the human things, allowing them to control our thoughts and our well-being, or we can choose to focus on our great God, choose to wait on him, trust him, and allow God's peace to direct us and fill us. So I do want to encourage us all tonight to wait patiently for God all the time. Does anybody here struggle with saying no? Sometimes I do. And if you struggle with saying no, what happens is you can get yourself into a lot of trouble, in the sense that you can become overworked and overburdened very, very quickly. Just taking this simple instruction and applying it to your life, wait on God, makes it so much easier. Whenever someone asks you for something, you say, can I get back to you? It can be 5 minutes, half an hour, tomorrow. But you just then go and just sit and wait for a minute with God and say, hey God, I've been asked to do this. Can I handle this with you? Is this right? And hear him give you permission to say yes or to say no. Sometimes we say yes purely because we want to people please. Purely because we're thinking more about what that other person will think of us. Or if no one else is helping us, so I haven't got a choice. Instead of just taking that time to wait on God and saying, you get this world right, God. Your timing is perfect. What is it that's best for me to do? Just learning to wait on God before you answer a question sometimes, so we don't get overburdened. Psalm 46:10 tells us, doesn't it? Be still and know that I am God. That's just sitting and waiting patiently to hear him before we act. Asking God yes or no. And there are great benefits in allowing God to fill your diary, to fill your days, rather than you trying to fill them. Some of us fill our days with worry. Whereas if we wait patiently for God, we could fill them with his peace. Even though nothing's changing, we could still have peace along the way. Because this is the benefits of waiting patiently for God. When we wait patiently for him, we focus on God and we see his unchangeable splendour in every single situation. I still can't answer the questions as to why God does and why God doesn't, why God takes ages and then does stuff in the instant. I don't know. But I'm learning more about God and how great he is. I'm learning more about how I can really trust him. I'm delighted in his peace more in my days than my worry and stress. Just obeying this simple instruction, taking it on board rather than kicking, saying, don't want to wait. Just go, okay, God, I struggle with that. Just teach me how. And what happens is our doubts get fed with his truth because we see the reality of who he is, not the negativity of where our doubts take us. We become more like him. So rather than giving the driver an unholy mouthful, I give him a smile and wave him in front of me to make his day a little bit better. Rather than want to give up, I receive God's hope and life to want to go on, to want his strength to keep going through this ridiculously tough time. Rather than feeling abandoned, I see that he's never left me, ever, in all of this. Rather than being so confused, trying to find the answers myself, I gain his wisdom. His wisdom gives great understanding. Rather than feeling useless, I receive God's anointing to help me get through. Rather than being in turmoil, I live in God's peace. And this is our choice for all of us, if we would simply wait patiently for the Lord. It says be brave and courageous because it is a brave and courageous thing to do. The easy option's always to flap, get anxious, try and fix it yourself, sort it out your own way, not bother for him, waiting for him. We just do that without thinking, so it must be easy, mustn't it? But it actually causes us more hardship. So we need to be brave and courageous and say, okay, I'm going to trust you, God. And I am going to wait patiently for you. But God, I don't really know how to do it very well. So today, will you help me in all things wait patiently for you? Let that be our prayer. Finish by reading this little bit from James. James is so practical and grace, he's that good. And at the beginning of James, it says this, and it kind of inspires me to really ask God to teach me how to learn to wait on him patiently. Because it says this, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. When we learn to let God in and to wait for him, he produces